going to be honest with you guys. I am nervous. I'm extremely nervous. If I had to put on a scale of 1 to 10, I am probably at an 8 right now. Now, what am I so nervous about? I am nervous that the Broncos are not going to draft Ashton Jeanty. I'm nervous enough that I put Michael Scott screaming, "No, God, please no," on the thumbnail for today's video. Because yesterday, Sean and George Payton spoke to the media, and I saw this quote here, and it shook me to my core. Sean Payton said he's not going to go with a lead back moving forward. They don't see a bell cow back as the way they want to go. After seeing that and reading that, wheels started turning. Bell cow back, not the way to go. And now I'm really starting to believe the Broncos might not draft Ashton Jeanty, which is my number one draft prospect for them. I have tried to speak this into existence, going probably all the way back to like October, when we were still a ways away from even the season being over, but just started planting the seeds of could really use a running back, and Jeanty, he's a Bronco right now already. He can just keep the same name, come over to Denver, not very far from Boise. And after seeing Payton say they do not want to go with a bell cow back, it is very tough to envision that the Broncos are going to use the 20th overall draft pick on a running back to be a bell cow back. That's why you take a running back 20th overall. And I know deep down, it's not even actually that deep down, it's pretty surface level. Sean Payton is obviously smarter than me when it comes to football. And I don't like the idea of me just openly critiquing his roster personnel decisions and the way he wants to put together his football team, because I'm a YouTuber, he is a Super Bowl winning coach, and the conversation should end there. But every so often the YouTuber is right, more or less if you're a Raiders YouTuber and you just critique every single draft pick they had for like 5, 6, 7 years and all their head coaching hirings. But Sean Payton deserves more credit than that. But still, I think it is a great time for the Broncos to go out and get a bona fide superstar running back with a premium draft pick. And if the Broncos don't want to go that direction, I'm going to try and choose to believe that they are smarter than me and this is better for the team in the long run. But as of right now, I'm having a tough time believing that, because I just saw one of the worst running back rooms in recent memory. Javonte Williams leading the pack. By the way, the leader who played in every game this year, 139 carries. Talk about lack of trust. 513 yards. And I think we've all heard it, but I'll say it one more time in case you haven't. The last time the Denver Broncos had a running back rush for, or any player for that matter, 100 or more yards in the game, Latavius Murray at the end of the 2021 season in Week 18, or end of the 2022 season, Week 18, 2022. So, how long has it been since the Broncos have had a 100-yard rusher? Well, let's look at it through this lens as well. They've gone 2 straight years now without having a 100-plus yard rusher in a single game. That 2-year regular season stretch is the longest since 1992. They've had a long history in Denver, playing football since 1960. 8 times they have not had a 100-plus yard rusher. And 6 of those 8 happened in the early 90s or 80s or 70s or 60s when they did not even play 17 games. And 2 have happened in the last 2 seasons. To me, this is the biggest priority for the Broncos. They have to fix their run game. And I think a great way to do that is to get a superstar running back like Jeanty. So I'm in favor of drafting him, but it does not appear that the Broncos are going that direction, and they do not want to use a first-round pick on a back if they don't have a good plan to give him the carries that make sense for a 20th overall selection. If you're going to draft a running back in round 1, the expectation should be they get 250 to 300 carries. I mean, that's just, the bottom dollar right there. If you're going to spend that on a running back, you better get your money's worth. And if the Broncos don't plan to give a running back 250 to 300 carries, then yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I don't think that the current idea, the current thinking of how they go about the running back room is a good idea. Because I go back to what James Palmer put out saying Sean Payton said he's not going to go with the lead back moving forward. Here's the part that doesn't really make sense to me. They don't have a lead back right now. They didn't have a lead back this year, right? They didn't have a lead running back. So when we say moving forward, you never started with one to begin with. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But first, I do have to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections. Prize Picks now offers Venmo and MasterCard for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this season. Here's an example of some Prize Picks selection. So if you want to play along, they're giving you the more on Will Howard's passing yards at 0.5 for this weekend. So do yourself a favor. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup, and then take the more on Will Howard at 0.5 passing yards. Once more, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So let's kind of pick up where we left off. They don't want to have a lead back. They don't want a bell cow. What am I missing here? They didn't have a bell cow this year. Let's go through all 18 games together and look at the max carries or the leading rusher for every single week. 10, 11, 9, 16 in week 4. Let's see if we can beat 16. 13, 6, 14, 17 in week 8. Still have not even come that close to 20 carries in the game for a single player. 12, 14, 9, 7, 14, 8, 9. Am I missing the memo on the Broncos had some bell cow back system this year? No, they didn't. 16. They never got all that close to even a single player getting 20 carries in a game. I don't think this system worked at all. If anything, they should go to a bell cow system. This system has not worked for 2 straight seasons. But Sean Payton and his time in New Orleans, this is how he operated the running back position. He never had like a Zeke, an Adrian Petersen, or like a running back that's just going to get first, second, third down. You go back to his last 5 seasons in the Big Easy and take a look at where his leading rusher in terms of carries ranked amongst all running backs in carries. 2021 Alvin Kamara, when he was really hitting his prime, not even getting to 250 carries, not even top 5. And then go back before that, Kamara tied for 15th. 2019, 25th, 16th. In 2017, Mark Ingram, when he was kind of hitting his prime a little bit, 13th. So this has always been Sean Payton's MO. He does not want to run a running back into the ground. He wants to throw a bunch of different looks at them. He kind of wants like his Joker, right? Remember that term in New Orleans where he wants a little bit of versatility out of his backfield. He wants each running back to wear a different hat. He wants everyone to have a unique role and to use those guys when that time comes. There's definitely pros to it. I'm not knocking that system as a whole, but I am knocking the idea of we don't want to have another lead back. You didn't have a lead back this year. You changed your lead back pretty much every single week, it felt like. Maybe a lead back would be nice. But if they're not going to go Ashton Jeanty, which I have not made it clear already, I'll make it clear right now. I wholeheartedly disagree with the idea of passing on Ashton Jeanty. We can clip this and we'll see if in 2, 3, 4 years it's a bad take or a good take. But I think the Broncos should take Jeanty. They don't go with Jeanty. I would not be too upset if the consolation is Tyler Warren. He is an incredible tight end. I mean, 1,000 yards. That might not seem like a pretty, big number, but 1,000 yards for a tight end in college football in 2024 is extremely rare just based on the current layout of college football offenses that are all predicated on, hey, we're going to spread things out because we got this wide field, unlike the NFL with the very close hash marks, and our quarterback is just going to go to his first read. If it's there, throw it. If not, then we're SOL. Very rarely is the tight end the first read. So very rarely do they get looks and opportunities. But Warren, 88 grabs. He can do it all. He can throw, he can run, he can catch. I'm a big fan of Tyler Warren. So if that is the selection for Denver at 20, I'm not going to have like a meltdown over it or anything like that because I think he's going to be a very good player. And the Broncos do need help at tight end. But I think running back is just a little bit more important of a position. And when you're picking 20th, the position value has to factor in a little bit. There's a reason why quarterbacks corners, edge rushers, wide receivers, offensive tackles go top 10 more often than any other position group. Those positions impact the game more than a safety, than a linebacker. And I think running back impacts the game more than a tight end. But having said all this, we can all acknowledge that Warren still is a stud. And this is not a bad plan B. So we have a lot of time until the draft, but I would not get your hopes up on Ashton Jeanty based off of the recent comments from Sean Payton. And I'd start to keep a close eye on Warren. Some more info on him. The guy's humongous. 6'6", 260 pounds. What? He's bigger than some defensive ends he's going to be blocking. He was a quarterback in high school, so he's, a good offensive mind. He kind of runs his routes how a quarterback would want the tight end to run, right? Very often in the modern NFL, you're not playing backyard football. Like, Bo Nix's not taking a football and drawing routes on it for his guys. More often than not, they are going up against zone defenses, and there are option routes for the receivers. Hey, if the defense gives you this look, you should break in, you should break out. And there has to be some kind of chemistry between the quarterback and the receiver at the moment the ball is snapped, or even pre-snap, to go, hey, based on this look we're getting, you should run this route. And sometimes you do see that if you look closely. Like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams were famous for this. Rodgers would kind of tap his helmet, and Adams would know, hey, I'm not getting a lot of safety help, or the corner's not getting a lot of safety help. I'm just going to go deep. And so you can pick up on those tendencies, but it takes time for that chemistry to develop. But Warren, as a tight end, he runs like a quarterback. So he goes to the soft spots in the defense, and it's Drew Aller's best friend. So there's a lot to like here about him. He's not the best run blocker, if I'm going to be nitpicky, but I don't need him to be the best run blocker. I've got NFL coaches that can teach him how to run block. What you can't really teach super duper well is the ability to have the instincts that he has in the open field to find the soft spot in the zone. Plus, I don't think it needs to be said, but in case it does, they need a tight end as well. The Broncos tight end room this year was a disaster. It got a little bit better as the season went on, but still, Adam Trotman led the bunch with 188 yards. Lucas Kroll, 19 receptions. That was the most by a tight end. They were hoping Dulcich would have a larger role on this team, and that ultimately never really came to fruition. I think he's still on the Giants, maybe. I don't really know where he ended up. I'm pretty sure he went to the Giants after he was released. But, yeah, there's that for you. So, if it's Warren, I'm not going to have a pity party over it. But if I were the GM, I would take Jeanty. And it does not seem like that's the direction. Although, I reached this conclusion at the end of the video. Shame on me. You guys remember, last year, Sean Payton, after the draft, was all about smoke season. He admitted he tried to fool other people on what the Broncos were going to do and intentionally led people to believe they really liked J.J. McCarthy. Maybe he wants people to think they're not going to go Jeanty, so no one trades up for Jeanty, so Denver doesn't have to trade up. All right, I'm back in on Jeanty. He's a Bronco, baby. We got it done. There we go. We problem solved. We worked through it together. I feel like it's the end of a Dora Explorer episode. Yeah, and Warren's good too. So either one works. If they get neither, we're fucked.